Tight. You can't really even see what I'm doing down here, can you? Guess I can readjust where I'm at too. Turn on this chat right here. There you go. I'm out of the hospital, yes. Yeah, I wonder if I can move that chair here, or is it just popping up right there in the front for me. Good to see you picking and grinning. Thank you very much. It's good to be out of the hospital. I was picking and grinning in the hospital too. I always be picking and grinning, man. Life is shit and it's short. You gotta have a sense of humor about shit. Yes, what this is a wooden spoon that I peeled off of this clown I know. And it's got a wooden yardstick on it. That's the fretboard. And I very carefully measured and fretted it so it's tonally correct. And it's 20 inches from nut to bridge. I painted it with nail polish. And right now it's plugged in by way of this Bluetooth speaker that I wired up with a microphone so that it's electric, but I also have a little rig going so I can plug it into the amp if I want. I'm just kind of testing this out right now. Yeah, and it doesn't sound like amazing through the Bluetooth speaker. You know, there's no like effects or anything on it. It sounds a little light, but I mean it's amplifying it to some extent. There's not a whole lot of resonance in the surface of a spoon. Unfortunately, I don't think that they had this in mind when they were designing it, but I've seen spoons for a lot of things they were not designed for, and this is one of the more innocent of them. So yeah, this is my newest creation. I've been making these instruments out of garbage. I'll show you some of the ones I'm playing about right now. Thank you. This is a 1-string Christmas cookie tin slide. The neck is a piece of extruded aluminum that I painted to look like a candy cane. I sold a bunch of these around Christmas, and for some reason this is the only one that didn't really sell, which is weird because this is the one I like the most. The other ones were bigger and more of like a playable thing, but I thought this was neat, like a little stocking stuffer sort of thing. Just tune her up a little bit. So yeah, a little cookie tin. Bought a bunch of these from Goodwill, turned them all into guitars, sold the shit out of these motherfuckers for whatever reason. This was the cheapest one, and it's the only one that didn't sell, and I think it's the coolest one. And it actually sounds cool with like the neck is completely aluminum, so this whole thing is made out of metal. And that's just one little banjo string on the motherfucker. And some random hardware. I like this little piece of hardware for a tuner because then you can also kind of set it down and play it like it's like kind of a lap slide, you know what I mean? So yeah, there you go. That's that one, and it's got a little prop there with the tuner. I was gonna put a little piece of mistletoe right over there, so when you play it, it hangs right over there over your garbage, you know, little Yuletide dick joke. I will eventually get one for our mutual friend. Hey, you know what? The beauty of these things, I believe, is that they are completely sourced from things that were on their way to the landfill, and they exist through sheer ingenuity and lack of standards for my own lifestyle. You cursing at an inanimate object right now. I'm sure people tune into these streams sometimes and they're like, what the fuck is it? This guy's talking shit on his father's balls. Force fucking sack of goddamn dog shit. What is he on about? Well, I got another little instrument I'd like to show you guys. Where is that motherfucker? Here's another one that I made. This is a cigar box and the leg to a stool. So I've been getting real good at like cutting these necks kind of cleverly so that the headstock leans back like that. And it's not fretted as well as I would have liked. There's a couple of things I don't like about it, but you can see the springs in there, cool. That adds a little resonance. Little cigar box. Sounds okay. This was like a little bit of a... This was just a little bit of an experiment with the neck length. I wanted to try and get more 20-inch fretboards. How'd you learn to do this? Practicing it. I saw a lot of people on YouTube, and I talked to AI a lot. There's some more notable artists who are contemporaries, such as C6 Steve, who plays cigar box banjos, and he also has a shovel that he has turned into a guitar and a broomstick. So those are one of the more contemporaries, but the truth is blues musicians during the Depression, they would string up the doors to their houses or whatever they had with things that they would call diddly bows or just cigar box guitars. So they would just do it with whatever was around. They would literally, there would be a door on their house and they would just cut a little hole in one side of it so that they could get into the hollow part of it. And then they would just put strings on the motherfucker with a Coke bottle and they would play it like just right there as a door. And that's where the heart of most contemporary rock and roll music comes from. It's all poor black people taking garbage and turning it into instruments, and then white people copying it with $3,000 fucking Mustang guitars. And I think these are cooler. So yeah, this one sounds a little bit shitty. I still need to do some work on this one. This was just kind of a thing for me to experiment with the 20-inch neck, but it's not so bad. It just needs a little work, and I got excited about the spoon and moved on to this before I finished this one up. So this one still needs a little bit of work. I've made something like 3 dozen of them so far, but I sell them pretty quickly. I like to sell them as quickly as I can, and I sell them, you know, I ask for a specific donation, and it's a reasonable, I believe, but basically anyone could undercut me to any degree, and I would be probably comfortable with it, because the thing that I think has value about these is that it's making a musical instrument available from a complete lack of resources, which is what got me into doing them in the first place. So, I mean, yeah, I asked for a certain amount, and then I don't negotiate. They undercut me however much they'd like, and I accept that amount. That's basically been my scheme thus far, and so far it has worked. And I'm happy with that. Because they are 100% upcycled materials that I dumpster dive myself. It took a lot of practice to get to the point that I could make them functional. They're one-of-a-kind art piece. They're fully playable instruments. Some of them are electric, some of them are not. Some of them are fretted, some of them are not. I can make them customizable with what, like if you brought me something that you would like to see turned into an instrument, I would damn near give it a shot with just about anything. Especially if it was something sentimental to you. And honestly, if I ran into someone who was without an instrument, and they were typically one to have one, like if I was on the street and there was just like a guy that spanges, you know, he's out there and you don't have no money, you don't have a place to go or whatever, someone stole his guitar, I'd probably just run home and grab one of these and give it to him. I'm not lying. But a little donation goes a long way. It gives me more supplies to make the shit with, and I'm in a state right now where it keeps me going in more ways than one. I don't want to turn into. There's a lot of people on YouTube who are like grifters and streamers of like, oh, please pay for my hotel. I'm homeless. I am not homeless. But things have not been easy for me this last year. Not that they have for anyone. And for the time being, a donation would go a long way. So if you can donate in the Cash App, that would also be great. Or I could sell you one of these, or, you know, don't feel like you have to leave. Hang out and look at me wallow in the trash regardless. Because that's what this is about. You know, hit like and subscribe if you like it. If you don't like it, you can even comment what a fucking dirtbag I am. But you might be wasting your time. A lot of people have said that before you, and I already know. I obviously have wherewithal and presence of mind to broadcasting it, so you wouldn't be telling me anything new. I literally am showing you some trash I found. And so I'm gonna be the first one to come in here and hurt my feelings. Don't have very many left. And I'm pretty assured that in spite of the fact that it's an unflattering way to spend your time, that it's an objectively positive thing to be doing. All of this stuff would have been going to a landfill somewhere. And because I found it and pulled it out and turned it into something that you can make music with again, it will not, at least for a while. And I could be doing a lot worse shit, you know? I could be mixing up fentanyl into Kool-Aid, getting people to sit in a circle around me and yoga. Who cares? And I'd forego all the sex and the blood and all that, but I'll take the money. Can I run a cult without having people seeing in me something to admire about recognizing how little there is to admire in me and each and every one of us? I mean, all of us are just repurposed trash, really, you know? You could turn your nose up, but there's a reason I'm working on this one that's very unappealing looking, and I guess I should be telling you the story of that rather than riffing about having a cult. So, when I was on the street after my house burned down, my best friend died, and I had literally nothing. I had no food, I had no money, and I decided I was going to make a guitar every day so that I could play it on the street and make some money. And so I did, and it had one string, and I will never improve the design or appearance of this. You know how I feel about people. Look how beautiful trash can be. You know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure we've discussed your thoughts on trash exactly. I know what my thoughts on it are, and it's that the truth is everything you own and everything that's around you is. And I've learned this from. I've dug around in the trash a lot. It's trash that didn't get thrown away yet, baby. Everything you own is going in the dumpster. I promise. You don't get to keep it. Someone's gonna clean it up and throw it out. You're gonna spend your whole life gathering up a whole bunch of shit, and then when it's all over, it's just gonna be me picking through it, talking about how stupid it all is, and turning it into a fucking ukulele. So gather your shit if you want. That's up to you, man. That's spend your life however you like. Me, I got everything I need right fucking here. So, as I said, this is the guitar I made out of things I found that day, so I could feed myself with it, and I did. And just trying to get it back to a place where it'll hold a note real quick. And like I said, I will never improve the appearance of this thing. I will never improve the function of this thing. I've been tempted to a bunch of times because, you know, it would be cool if it worked better. But just out of sentimentality for being on the street at the time and my house having burned down and me finding a way through ingenuity with nothing but the things I found that day to make something that makes sound and feed myself with it, I'll never mess with it. So they're little property dividers like you see sticking out of the dirt with pink ribbons on them. This is just some random hardware. There's a couple of self-tapping screws. This is a piece of a tile. This is a banjo string that I got off of some train hopper. She was cool. Just another little random piece of aluminum. And the body is, so it says War and Peace right there. It looks like a book, but it's just like a little stash box. I found this in a trash can. Little stash box, War and Peace. And the strap is a tie that I found in a Goodwill bin. Which is cool because it's also good for business casual. We're gonna do something else for this guy right here. Why is it acting weird? It's making a weird sound. Am I forgetting something? There we go. So I was so stoked when I figured out you're a gamer. That is neato. That's really neat. What games do you play? What the hell am I doing? So I'm discussing this. This is a guitar that I made from garbage when I was living on the street after my house burned down, and I'm discussing the fact that I will never improve the appearance nor the design of it, even though it would work better and look better if I did. And it's because I'm very sentimental about the fact that I made it out of things I found that day when I had nothing, and I fed myself with it. So it's not a fantastic one, but it works, and I got Taco Bell with it, and I'll never fix the fucker. I gotta tell you, I was absolutely euphoric when I figured out I could do that weird SpongeBob thing with this, with just the one string. Wow. Wow. Well, that is. I guess that's a hard response to read. It's not. It's definitely potent in whatever direction you meant for it to be, or maybe you meant it apathetically, like wow. But it's really something, to say the least. You know. It probably goes without saying. Maybe. It depends on how simple it is. I might be able to figure it out. It depends on what you want in here. I can give it a shot. I've been able to figure some stuff out off top. Don't know what that is. Yep, so not going to be able to play that one. I don't know if you can tell this by looking at me. I'm not exactly a cultured individual insofar as I have not studied scholastically anything. I might provide an interesting insight into a way that a certain demographic of person lives, and you see a window into the trash, really. That would be the only cultural relevance or significance that I could provide. But as far as some kind of knowledge or understanding of music, I have the most rudimentary understanding of music theory. I don't know notes and chords. I can't read music. I can't remember how to read tablature. I was in punk bands for years and years growing up, with other people who were about the same level of understanding of music as I was, which is to say, not very much. But we figured stuff out. I can kind of figure shit out by ear if it's a relatively simple sort of thing. You know, I liked Nirvana growing up, and am I a genius? Absolutely not. By no stretch of the imagination am I a genius. I like to think I'm well spoken. I wouldn't say articulate because that makes it sound like again some kind of grasp of the English language. But I feel like I'm pretty effective at expressing myself. I made a good instrument. You know, that's just a matter of, like I said, black people during the Depression era. They made these things all the time, and that they made the kind of music that white people are making billions off of now. Black people did it first with literal pieces of garbage they had lying around. So, necessity is the mother of invention. No, I mean trash. I don't mean trash in a negative sense. Like, you know, like poor black people during slavery, they would make their food from what white people would consider trash, and they would make a lot of their you know, they would literally have haywire that was going to be thrown away, and they would tune that shit with a Coke bottle, and they would play music with it. And that was the backbone of blues and rock and roll and folk music, a lot of it. So, I mean, trash, there's a nobility to trash and repurposing things that are otherwise considered no longer useful, you know what I mean? That's where, like, if you like any rock and roll music, it's all at the very root of it. It comes from black people taking things that were being thrown away, and then making instruments out of them, and then coming up with like a lot of the blues. You know, coming up with some of the you know, Diddley Bow, Lead Belly, all those guys. Again, I'm not cultured. I just like what I like. And I was impressed by this sort of thing and the fact that people still do it. And most people who still do it, especially people who still do it on YouTube, they do it with it's like these white guys who are like doing it in they're doing it in their garage as like a hobby, and that's cool. Like, those guys are cool. I basically learned a lot of how to do this from watching that stuff. But I actually needed these. how I learned how to make all those. So a lot of it was on YouTube. A lot of it I talked to AI about. I read about it. So, again, these things have existed. These ideas have existed for a very long time. I'll just examine parts from guitars because I'll find guitar parts in the trash and I'll just like look at them. And a lot of it was like trial and elimination. Before I spent like a year solid working on the first one of these that was actually really, really good. And I made a lot of stuff that was not good in that process. And so a lot of it was just like every single little thing I did wrong 100 times until it started to work, and some of it I still need to improve on, man. The fretting could be better on a lot of this stuff. Fretting is a nightmare. And the first one I fretted with bicycle spokes that I clipped up and filed down, and that took forever, man. That took so long. So that was the one I made while I was on the street. It's not very pretty to look at. It's got a lot of problems functionally as well, but because it worked well enough that I fed myself with it, I made it in one day off of nothing but things I found lying around in the street. I'll never improve the design or appearance of it because it was good enough for me then, and it takes me back to an important lesson in life, which is that you don't need anything. You got everything you need right here. And if this one goes away, or someone steals it, or it gets thrown out, I'll just make another one, and another one, and another one, and another one, and I'll never need any resources. I have an infinitely renewable resource out of the garbage for the parts for things like this, and I have the knowledge to do it in my head, so I can always make another one of these, and I can feed myself with it, and I can have fun with it, and I can entertain people with it, and it's taking something out of the landfill in the process. It's a good thing. I'm sorry, I didn't catch the first part of the chat. It's the "and it will be popular." Let me see. You said what will be popular? I'm sorry. The chat just disappeared on me before I had a chance to read that. I apologize. Oh, did our mic shut off here? Well, it certainly seems so. I've got to plug this mic in for a little bit. The video about your making of the instrument. Yeah, I've got a couple of shorts up where I basically describe the process. I'm just now getting used to how to construct and edit and make a YouTube video. So yeah, one day ideally I'll have from beginning to end, like literally starting with me finding all the parts and putting them together, all the way to it being a completed project and like a cleanly edited, nice single piece of media. Right now I'm in the very beginning stages of learning how to even use editing software or how to make any kind of videos. I'm kind of messing around with search engine optimization and all that. I made shorts that I think are kind of headed in the right direction, because I also don't want to just be like a boring "look at this thing I made" kind of guy. I want them to have some kind of I want them to have a little bit of me on them, Okay, it's time. You have work. Well, thank you so much for sticking around and talking to me about my trash, I hate to see good trash go to waste. Have a great day at work there. Let's plug this mic in so that I can get back to using it at some point. Can I zoom in with this? See ya. Yeah, take it easy now. I could also just reposition the camera somewhere. I'm having problems with making videos also because part of my screen is cracked over the lens, so it's creating a glare in a way that like I can really only film things from certain angles because I want to be well lit, but when I'm well lit in the way that I used to find was functional, it gives me this really awful glare that is basically making the stream unwatchable. So we're trying to work with that, but again, working within limitations is kind of what I do best, so I'm not complaining about that in the first place. Where am I living? I live in Tucson, Arizona. So in June of last year, the house I was living in with my best friend, she fell asleep and it caught on fire and she died. And I ended up in the street for a while, and then I did a 30-day drug rehab residential that I completed. And now I'm staying with a friend, and I don't want to make this sound at all anything short of grateful because I love it, love it, love it. I live in America, which Arizona is in America. Tucson is a city near the southern border. It's a little below Phoenix. God damn that glare. What was I saying? Oh yeah. And so now I got a friend who's been very kind and gracious to let me do these streams while I figure it out in the shed in his yard. So I live in a leaky shed in Arizona. And I've lived in worse places and I've lived nowhere. Thank you so much for that. So again, I don't want to make it sound like a complaint at all. I'm very grateful. In fact, things have been a lot worse. There's a roof. I can stream and kind of learn how to do this thing. Play instruments. And try to see if I can figure out how to make this YouTube and streaming thing work for me. Say hello. I can see that there are some people watching. This is very nice. This is a wooden spoon. The reason there's a hole in it I'll explain in a moment, but it's a wooden spoon that I got. It's trash. And then this is a wooden yardstick that I used for the fretboard, and I painted it with nail polish. This is a spring from like a doorstop, you know those guys. So that gives it resonance. These are banjo strings, some random hardware. And the hole is because I do one of two things. I either hook it up to my Bluetooth speaker by putting a microphone through it, these little lav mics that I have, or I have a, let's see if I have it handy. So there's this other Bluetooth speaker that I also pulled out of a dumpster. So this was the speaker from it. And in the back, I wired it up to this audio cable, and I have this bass amp that I actually pulled out of a heap at the scrapyard in my area. Someone threw it in with the steel, and I asked the guy that owns the place if I could give him 15 bucks for it, and he said yeah. So I looked in the back of it when I couldn't get it to turn on, and there was very little wrong with it. There was just a couple of wires were pulled loose. Some of the what do they call it? Potentiometers are a little busted off. I need to fix that at some point. But it's a fully functioning vintage bass amp. So I plugged this into that with the speaker facing up through here, and it's screwed into the back and plug it into the amp. So this is an electric slide guitar that I made out of a wooden spoon and a yardstick painted with nail polish. And I play it with a Bluetooth speaker I pulled out of a dumpster and a amp that I got out of the scrapyard. So it is 100% local trash, just like the person playing and making it. And right now it's quite quiet because I don't have any of those things hooked up. I'm waiting for this speaker to, or for this lav mic to charge a little bit before I get it going again, so I can show you how it sounds with the Bluetooth speaker. It sounds okay. It's a little bit louder that way. It sounds a lot better through the amp, but I like that the Bluetooth speaker is portable. And the lav mic is actually one of the few things that I bought when I started doing YouTube. I got this lav mic for $15 at a Bins store on the corner. And the Bluetooth speaker I used to actually amplify this is, again, from a dumpster. Oh, let's talk about the slide. The slide is a piece of furniture that I cut off with tin snips. And so far, I've got a glass slide here somewhere, and I've used sockets. People like to use sockets. This has been the best slide that I've had so far. I pinched it with a pair of channel locks in a way that it just fits on my fingers so good. This is my favorite slide. I hope I never lose it, but if I do, what are you gonna do? I'm just dicking around with the 3 strings. I'm used to guitar, so I'm just kind of dicking around right now. Yeah, so far it sounds a little better as a slide. I'd like to fix the action on it so it's a little easier to fret around on. So far, I'm just kind of like tuning it by ear. Feels whatever. Alright, so let's get this microphone back on here so I'm not just sticking around on the stream for no reason. Is my chat off? If my chat's off, I apologize. I'm not ignoring you guys. If you guys have been talking to me, I'm sorry, because I missed like the whole last, whatever, 10 minutes of chatting. I did not mean to do that. I'm learning how to use the Streamlabs app. And it is, needless to say, it's not going so well. This is a little lav mic. Coming from the back, I don't remember. It sure sounds like me. Usually there's not this many people in the stream, so thank you for watching me do this. Generally, if there's this many people in the stream, there's one person engaging with me, and a handful of people trying to trash me, which I also appreciate. That's fine. Engage with me however you like, you know? Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys the this is the little Bluetooth speaker. Again, from the trash. There's the receiver for the lav mic. The lav mic is one of the only things that I have bought and paid for. It was $15 at a local bins store.
Maximum volume.
So let me get this thing a little closer to the vibrations. You're picking up my voice just fine. Oh. Oh. See? You can hear my voice. Oh no! Not my bowls. I dropped everything, goddammit. Oh, shut up, you worthless sack of goddamn dog shit. I'll puke on everything you fucking love about this world, you stupid looking motherfucker. Where the fuck did it go? I'm sorry I curse so much. But, you know, I also don't think that there's anything wrong with cursing a lot. And I think that you do well to find better things to be sensitive about. I also smoke on my stream. And if that bothers you, that's ridiculous, because you can't get secondhand smoke if you're watching a YouTube video. So
maybe be more concerned about the fact that I literally dig around in garbage than I consume tobacco products. You can kind of hear my voice, right? I think maybe the, I don't understand or know what the fuzzy thing on the microphone does. But let's give it a shot. Maybe that'll help distribute the thing. I'm not even going to try and use buzzwords to make it sound like I know what I'm talking about at all. I'm going to put the fuzzy thing on this microphone and see if it helps it sound better. If that doesn't work, maybe I'll put something sticky on it. Usually I do it in the opposite order, but we're going fuzz first. Fuzz first, stickiness later, and maybe rigid if we have time. Is this picking me up? Yes, that kind of sounds like something.
Maximum volume.
Maximum volume. That's maximum volume. Okay. So that's how it sounds with the Bluetooth speaker. It's a little bit louder. Obviously it sounds better with the amp, but this is an option for portability. And it's just kind of nice to mess around and experiment with stuff. Is there anyone in this room right now? I can't see. been online for some time now, but I suppose I should start trying to stream for a little longer. Yeah, I gotta work on that action so I can fret around a little bit more, but I'm glad I can fret it all. Yeah, I'm just kind of dicking around with this thing. It's the smaller fretboard, the shorter fret length is the frets are really close together, and also I need to adjust the action on this a little bit because it's hard to just do fretting stuff. It works great as a slide, and throwing in little licks is cool, but Yeah, I'm just digging around here. Are there actually people watching this? That's wild. You guys are awesome. And I don't even know if I can see the chat. If you're chatting with me and I'm not responding to it, I promise you I'm not ignoring you. I honestly do not know how to do anything. So, if for whatever reason you're sitting here watching this, you're a strange and unusual breed, but you're my kind of people, I suppose. I try to be appreciative of it, like, you know, someone actually sitting there watching you do something. That means something, you know? You have an opportunity to impart something to them. You might not do it every time, and so far I'm so bad at this streaming thing that I pretty much never do it. But I try to throw in things that I think are profound or interesting or funny as much as I can, because, you know, one person watching, you know? It's not even about it getting this thing that I'm doing anywhere. It's about the idea that you can impact a stranger. You know what I mean? Let me think of some kind of wisdom that you can take with you that I learned from an amusing anecdote. The smallest penis I've ever seen on anyone, either in person or in a picture, was this. So I'm gay. It's this black guy I knew, and his penis was like literally ridiculous. It was so sadly small, and I felt bad for him because there's undertones of racism to that. Because people expect, oh, he's got he's a black guy, he's gonna pull out this big dick, and then they pull this other thing out. And they, you know, they're ruthless about that because of just some stereotype. And he was telling me that he was being blackmailed by these girls that had a picture of it, and they're like, we're going to release it, pictures of it, to your entire family and all your friends, and everyone's going to know about your little tiny penis. And I was like, you know what? Let them do it. You know what? You release the pictures. Don't let them make you a bitch with your little dick. So you take that with you. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. go back to playing with the slide instead of just dicking around on stream, you know, wasting everybody's time. Can't even tell a funny story about a small black penis. Here's the tale of the small black penis. You learn it from, you learn things like this when you travel as much as I do. Did I ever tell you the one about the man with the small black penis? I don't actually know any Metallica. But that would be cool. I would absolutely try that if I could. I like their first two albums, and I'm not even actually bothered by the snare on the ones after that. I think the snare sounds kind of cool. I just don't like any of their music after that. And I don't love metal in general. I know there's a lot of it has to do with context. And Metallica comes out and they're cool. They got this thrash sound. They're kind of a little bit punky. They're super technical. They've got their own thing going. But by the time I got really, really into music, and at the age that I was that stuff had been very played to my ears. That doesn't mean that they're not groundbreaking musicians, incredible. They put out a lot of good stuff that people copy, and they still do it to this day. So Pantera. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think if I could do that by ear. Well, let me tune this down a little bit. Let me see if I can figure that out. I only kind of know the main riff for that song. Something like that. That's about as close as I could probably get, because I'm just remembering it by ear. I guess, you know, looking back on it, I don't think I've given Pantera their due. They, you know, I think that was introduced to me at a time, you know, in high school, when I was kind of a feminine, punk kind of person, and masculinity bothered me a lot in like, especially these like tough guy sort of songs. But I think I can appreciate Pantera right now. Hearing the way that they sound in my head right now, I kind of get it a little bit. It's like, and I know that these are from completely different eras and completely different contexts, but to my mind, it's like if they do what Limp Bizkit, they scratch the itch Limp Bizkit is supposed to scratch, because they're actually like kind of good, but Limp Bizkit kind of sucks. But like the itch that they're trying to scratch, that feels like Pantera. And Pantera has like a cool kind of like metal-y, like southern rocky sort of sound. They're not like a new metal rap group, but like the itch that it's supposed to scratch. You know what I mean? Like the vibe, like it feels like it's very like unapologetically angry masculine person. But I think it sounds good. Yeah, in my head, I don't think I gave them enough of their due. Maybe I'll go back and listen to Pantera sometime soon. Can I play Metallica? Can I even remember any Metallica riffs? I really can't. Yeah, I can't remember any Metallica riffs. They're just not my thing. I've listened to their first 2 albums all the way through, maybe twice in my life, and liked them. And then after that, it kind of falls off for me. And I actually like the way the snare sounds, but for whatever reason, the other material in that stuff just did nothing for it. But the first 2 albums I remember liking a lot. Again, it was just something that was introduced to me by the time I was listening to it with the ear of a person who's into that sort of thing. I think that it just sounded tired to me, not because it is tired, but just because a band like Tool is a band that I understand is great, but I'll never like them because everyone that I was surrounded by when they were really popping off really liked them, to the point that I was like, I refuse to like this band. I don't even care if they're good. I'm just sick of hearing about these fucking people. I had a friend that used to say, "What in the name of Maynard?" He was like I love Jesse. Like he was almost like a Dwight Schrute type of guy, because I remember he filled out a resume for a KFC in our hometown, and under his special skills he wrote prolonged wilderness survival. What in the name of Maynard? Do I know any Russian songs? No. I don't think so. Let me think for a second. No. I don't think I do. I don't even think I know all the letters in the Russian alphabet. I'll bet I'd be missing a huge chunk. I know that the first time I saw my name, Eden, E-D-E-N, written down with the Russian alphabet, I read it aloud to myself, and it looked like it read "yeep" to me because of the giant A-looking thing. So does that do anything for you? Does that fill your song request? Do you know any Russian songs? And then I mispronounce my own name with my limited understanding of not only the culture and their music, but even the alphabet. I'm too stupid to tell you my own name in Russian, much less sing you a Russian song. Sorry, it is what it is. I remember I was working at the Value Village in Seattle on Capitol Hill one time, and there's this Russian guy. I think he was he had a thick accent. That he may have been Ukrainian or something. I'm not trying to be ignorant or insensitive. I really didn't know, but this is a story that I think is funny, and that's the only reason I'm sharing it. I'm not saying that it fits here. I'm just filling time. So this guy came in, and he was 7 feet tall. I'm 6'3". Hey, thank you very much, Travoles. I appreciate you. So this guy comes in, he's 7 feet tall. I'm 6'1", so this guy's towering over me. And I'm working in the basement of this Value Village, and he's got a big yellow suit on. And he comes in and he says, "Yes, I'm looking for lamps for my coffee tables." This is a bad accent, I know. And I was like, all right, dog, there's lamps over there in the furniture. And he said, "Dog, I have a dog. He's in the car." So that the voice is he's in the car. And then this black dude came in, and he was kind of an older black dude, and he was kind of had a little bounce and stuff. And he came up behind the guy. The guy didn't notice him. And then the black guy yelled, "Hey, brother Lurch, you're blocking my walking." And then the guy moved out of his way. Just another day at the Value Village, just picking up thrift mamas, Value Village on Capitol Hill. There was a guy that was... Oh no, that's cool. There was a guy that lived outside of the Value Village on Capitol Hill in Seattle, and every day, because it rains constantly in Seattle, he would come inside and just wander around. And he never stole anything. He just would wander around to stay warm. And his name was Gary. And every time you'd see him, you'd be like, "Hey, Gary, what's going on?" And he'd go, "All right." And that was Gary. Oh, if you like metal, I can kind of do that one right now. Yeah, I grew up. That's how I learned how to play the guitar originally. Just like all these different Nirvana songs, because he just played power chords and stuff, and that was just a good way to get your fingers moving around. If you know how to play a good power chord, you can pretty much play any Nirvana song. might be a cool thing to learn. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Shit, you know? Who else do I like? Who else do I like from back in the day? Blood Brothers, anyone? Nothing? I'm not even playing it right. What am I saying? What am I saying? Yeah, this is not threaded quite right. The action art is all wrong. Let me try something real quick. Ooh, that's much better. still not quite there, but it's a lot better. Oh, I think I figured out what the problem has been all along. I didn't have the nut in the right spot. Typical. And now I've got like some action back on this thing. Oh, hell yeah. Now I can noodle around. I figured it out. I thought I just lost the touch, but we're back, baby. Hell yeah. Actually tune this down. No, don't tune it down, but I'm gonna take a file to a part of this just so we can get a little bit more action on these frets here, because it's finally fucking looking like I got the bridge in the. I'm sorry, I missed that chat. Could you send that again? Because I would love to respond to it, but I missed it. Just give me a moment to find my file. and then I would love to respond to whatever you said, because I just missed it. Even if it's something mean, I'd love to see what you got to say about me. Say something mean to me, for Christ's sake. Somebody say literally anything, because there's been an unusual amount of people in this room for one of my streams, and nobody's saying anything, so that's a little weird. So we're going to saw into some of these little pieces of hardware real quick. Okay, I'm not sure what's happening here. Request had invalid authentication credentials. So I'm not sure what this means, but I'm worried about it. So I'm going to hop off this stream because my thing is like blowing me up and I don't know what it means, and I want to make sure that I'm not doing something wrong. So, but either way, I've been on here for what, an hour and 40 minutes? I might get back on later. I'd like to make like a short also to put up. But I might get back on later. Thank you for watching.